The investigation from the U.S. Department of Justice against General Salvador reveals the corruption of various Mexican authorities who, with the help of General Salvador, benefited from the cartel, most coming from Juan Francisco Beltran-Sanchez, aka LH2.
Romeo Zulu units, the red SUV, they have an AK-47 they just pointed at us.
During the 60s and the 70s, the brothers earned wages cultivating fields full of opium poppies in Sinaloa countryside. It wasn't long before all four brothers were offered new jobs by their clientele, the Juarez Cartel. Now working as hitmen, gun runners, and narcotic distributors, the brothers quickly provided to be ruthless, business-oriented psychopaths. But when the brothers weren't doing business in Juarez, they'd be forming connections with the Guzman and the up-and-coming Sinaloa Cartel, aka El Chapo. Soon, some of the brothers would marry family members from the Guzman bloodline, forming a bond that solidified their names in the drug business forever, changing the game. The Sinaloa Cartel and the brothers' BLO relationship was critical for the mutual expansion across several states in Mexico. Together, they would take over competitor territories and make enemies, but their operations increased and the amount of money coming in was astronomical. The brothers had also gained a track record for corrupting and paying off high-ranking government officials, gaining intel on enemies, and blackmailing non-compliant police officers. But the relationship soured after BLO accused Guzman of working with police to arrest one of their brothers. In retaliation, BLO dispatched 15 men to track and assassinate one of Guzman's children. In 2008, 22-year-old Edgar Guzman Lopez was gunned down in a shopping mall parking lot with assault rifles and grenade launchers. A once peaceful and fruitful relationship between both cartel groups quickly turned into a violent and bloody civil war. A few months later, authorities shoot and kill one brother and arrest another, with one free on the run and still out for capture. In 2014, the capture of the eldest and final brother, Hector, aka LH, paved the way for his right-hand man, Juan Francisco Beltran-Sanchez, to take control. Juan Francisco Beltran-Sanchez, aka LH2, took control of operations from the state of narration. The secret behind H2's power lay behind his connections with powerful government official, Salvador. At the time, Salvador was a Mexican security of national defense and bribed by H2 to corrupt other officials and provide him with vital intel, including enemy locations. Other services provided by Salvador include commanding local police to torture and interrogate H2's enemies. Salvador also greenlit several cargo ships filled with thousands of keys of heroin, cocaine, and meth to sail from Mexico to the US, hitting the streets of Las Vegas, Ohio, Minnesota, and New York. In 2017, Mexico faced extreme criticism from the US regarding the rising cartel problems. In response, the Mexican Navy, not under Salvador's command, decided to make an example of the cartel lord. Unbeknownst to H2, he was now under the radar of the Mexican Navy. His relationship with Salvador would soon end abruptly and violently. On the night of February 10, 2017, LH2 and over 10 members were staying in a hideout home in an upper middle class neighborhood. Under command of Mexican Navy, ground forces and heavily armed vehicles surrounded H2's location. Before offering the opportunity to surrender, H2 and other BLO members inside the building immediately began firing their assault rifles at armed forces on site. Few of H2's men also rushed to the roof, laying heavy machine gun fire and overwhelming troops below. In response, Mexican forces called in a Black Hawk helicopter with mounted minigun to neutralize everyone in the building. Locals and journalists around the area captured the Black Hawk hovering over H2 and his crew, unleashing high-caliber rounds.
Bueno, en estos momentos nos encontramos aquí en la colonia Lindavista, donde se registra un fuerte enfrentamiento, tiroteos al por mayor en unas residencias. El helicóptero ha disparado ya varias ráfagas de alto poder a algunas fincas. Sigue el enfrentamiento. Del helicóptero, de la torreta, ya empezó a disparar la torreta. Disparó hacia abajo, de la torreta del helicóptero. Es calibre 50. Un operativo muy fuerte aquí en la colonia Lindavista. Repetimos, se asegura que es para tratar de capturar a un importante narcotraficante que opera en esta región. Una granada más ha estallado ya. No, están todos rodeados, no salgan por favor. Mírense mejor adentro de su casa, resguarden su familia. Resguarden sus hijos.
The end results were significant. El Patron Sanchez and more than 10 of his crew and assistants were shot dead, marking the end of the cartel's organization. Videos of LH2's death made headlines all over Mexico and went viral on the internet. Salvador retired from his position a year later, but in 2020 was arrested on drug trafficking and money laundering charges at LA International Airport. This infuriated Mexico's current president, who threatened to remove DEA agents from the country if US didn't release Salvador. Salvador was released and cleared of all charges. He is now retired and living peacefully in Mexico.